This is Gray.
This is Mel.
This is Liz.
And we want to welcome you to Chuck versus the Podcast, episode 92 for Monday, October 31st, 2011. And happy Halloween!
Woohoo!
Hey, guess who didn't dress up? That guy.
Yeah, me, sorry. Well, I'm dressed as the skinny person, I guess. I'm literally 36 pounds lighter than the last podcast we recorded.
So Gray is the thin man.
Yep. Yeah. But anyway, Chuck is back, and it was wonderful to see him and the rest of the gang. Season 5 kicked off this week, and we can't wait to talk about it. Now, there are some things that are different in Season 5 of Chuck, and there's some things that are different in Season 5 of Chuck versus Podcast. One of the things that you may have noticed is that there's a much shorter opening. We just figured 92 episodes, you might have been getting tired of seeing it every time. So we're going to have a really rapid flash and get right to it. And I think you'll appreciate that. Another thing you'll notice is that we're now widescreen. We just figure, wow, like Chuck's been on for 5 years, and in that time, everybody's got widescreen monitors and iPods and things now, and so this will fit your devices better. And also, you'll notice this is coming out on Mondays. That's going to be the case. Chuck on Friday, Chuck Podcast on Monday. And you can always, if you miss the old 3D opening, you can always go back to older episodes. But the news.
Well, we are giving away, in honor of the season premiere, we're giving away an exclusive Chuck Season 5 t-shirt these were given out at Comic-Con. They're kind of an updated version of the screen printed tie and pocket protector with the Buy More name tag on it. And on the back, it says Chuck Season 5 and Chuck Season 4 on DVD coming fall 2011. And these were, as far as I could tell, I looked to see if you could buy them online, and you can't. So I think they were exclusively for Comic-Con. And we got our hands on more than one. So we'll be giving away something new every time a Chuck episode airs. And we are giving away one of these t-shirts to kick it off. The contest ends on Thursday, November 3rd. So there's still time to enter, and then check for the new contest on Friday morning.
My son was actually wearing his while we were watching Chuck tonight.
Very cool.
He looks so cute. I should have taken a picture.
Yeah. Oh, and I do have to say, I gotta lift you guys up. Thank you so much for keeping everybody updated at chucktv.net over the summer holidays. That was awesome.
Yeah, we ended up having a lot more to talk about than we thought we would.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that, we do have tons more news and interviews and photos. They've just been piling up over there. We've got lots of spoilers going on, too. They're all posted at chucktv.net. So there's too many to cover in this podcast. So head on over there and get your Chuck fix.
Very, very cool. And if you need more Chuckness, as I'm sure you do, I actually interviewed Chuck writer Kristen Newman for my TV Writer podcast last week. And it's a really great interview. I think you're going to love it. You can check that out at tvwriterpodcast.com or at blip.tv/tvwriterpodcast. And I know that she's a fan favorite. Everybody loves the episodes that she writes. She wrote Chuck versus Phase 3, Chuck versus The Last Details, and a number of other favorites. So make sure you check out that interview. I was supposed to talk to 2 other Chuck writers this week, but one of them, his wife actually is in the midst of having a baby, and that complicated our scheduling. So that will probably happen on the next podcast. So watch tvwriterpodcast.com.
Well, that's no excuse. He's not having the baby.
Yeah.
That's what my husband told me because he was out playing softball.
Uh-huh.
You know, I actually wrote Kristen Newman fan email at the beginning of the summer. I couldn't help it. I just had to do it. I loved her episodes.
Yep. Well, I can't wait to see more of them this season. Very cool. Well, I guess we're going to get to talking about Chuck versus the Zoom. What did you guys think?
I think we should have had a drinking game for every time that Zoom was mentioned.
Uh-huh. You know, it's funny. I just totally spaced that was the title, and I read the title after the episode, and I thought it was kind of funny.
I kept putting it on Twitter. I think they were getting sick of me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I got to say, you know what? I mean, speaking to the fears that a lot of people had, they thought that this wasn't going to be the Chuck show anymore. Is it the Morgan show? Is Morgan going to steal the scenes? And I thought I mean, this was Chuck. It was just as much Chuck as any other Chuck. It was still Chuck in his brain saving the day. It was still Morgan getting everybody into trouble. And there were a lot of fun moments in between. And I think they did a great job setting up everything at the end. Now that they've lost all their fortune, I think that's a good thing that they don't have this massive money bag to rely on.
Oh, not me. Not me.
Liz is mourning the loss.
I am. I wasn't happy with that.
Uh-huh.
I hate it when they start out with all kinds of money and you're like, yes, I can live vicariously through this person. Lots and lots of money. And it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, now you're just talking reality.
So now they have to rely on their wits again, you know, and more so. I mean, there's just kind of this added element. And it does, it's actually kind of a gateway for Carrie Ann Moss's character to come in.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they are kind of desperate for clients. So.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Carrie Ann Moss. I
found myself, I've seen the first 3 episodes, and I found myself wishing that she had come on sooner because she's incredible. I mean, she's going to give Timothy Dalton a run for the money for best guest actor.
Well, let me just say, I mean, in my lifetime, and I turn 40 next month. I'm betraying my age here. Star Wars was a major turning point for me, and The Matrix was a major turning point. I mean, from the moment that she went up into the air and the camera panned around her as she was in mid-kick, it was like, we have just entered a new era of filmmaking. And she, like, that moment really encapsulated it for me. So, obviously quite perfect for this show. Oh, yeah.
And, just wait till you see. We're not in the spoiler section, so that's all I'll say. Just wait till you see.
Yeah.
But with this episode, speaking of Star Wars, we had Mark Hamill as our bad guy at the beginning.
Yes, I squeed. I love Mark Hamill. I always did. I don't care. I do. We saw him only briefly. I was upset. Even though I knew we weren't going to see him for the whole episode, I thought, I felt so cheated, but that was okay. I was just happy to see him there.
Yeah. But, and you know what I love about it is, sometimes when you have these just iconic actors appearing in something, they overshadow everybody else. I thought he played it perfectly. He played that part, totally perfectly.
And it was so cool to see him be a bad guy, because I don't watch the Batman cartoons, or, that's what he's in, right? Somebody said something about let's hear the Joker laugh. So
yeah, he's the Joker in it.
Okay. So I'm not used to seeing him as a bad guy, and I thought he did a really good job of being just mean, but Chuck mean, you know, not like completely evil and vile, but Chuck's version of that.
Yeah, he got the tone right on.
I kept waiting to hear him say some line from Star Wars.
I'm sure I've heard that even in interviews, he doesn't like to talk about Star Wars as much. I mean, how sick of it could you get after 35 years?
Yeah.
Like,
I know, but it's what people remember him as. It's what made him.
Yeah.
And he's, just deal with it, Mark.
Get over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did think it would have been cool if Morgan had psyched himself up with the Imperial Death March in a van. Like they did last season. That was pretty cool, but he didn't really have time.
Yeah, and I thought it was quite fun that whole first introduction of Morgan as the Intersect. I thought right there in a few moments they set up everything. Just how goofy he still was, and yet how fun it was when he did the kung fu stuff.
Yeah.
When Sarah was saying that we have a master spy and all that stuff, did you guys get a sense of, she reminded me a lot of Hermione Granger in that scene. Did you guys pick up on that at all?
No.
No.
How
I mentioned
so?
it in the live chat, and several people were like, oh yeah. I don't know, just the way that she was delivering the lines, and she was being so kind of know-it-all about it.
Oh, the kind of, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't know, it just reminded me of Hermione. Plus, I could just tell that Yvonne was having way too much fun. Through this whole episode, she was having a blast. You could tell. All of them were excited to be back and, working on the show again. And that's what I really, when I was trying to come up with a way to review it without giving away too much, that's just kind of what I kept coming back to, is it just looked like everybody was having so much fun.
Well, and I love the fact that I honestly do not care one bit about going to TV by the numbers tomorrow, or like we're recording this on Friday night. I love not caring about that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that we don't have to worry about a renewal campaign and all this kind of stuff, to just sit back, relax, and have fun with the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of wonder if they're not feeling the same way, where they're like, we have nothing to lose at this point. We know it's our last season. We can do whatever we want. And it shows. It shows. The next couple of episodes too. I mean, they're putting it all out there.
Well, I'm still giggling over this episode. There was there were just so many laughable moments, and I just knew it would be once, Morgan got the intersect. I just knew that it was just a field for more hilarity, and it was true. And Casey just didn't know. He fluctuated from being, wow, this dude he's catching on so quick. He's such a genius, to, you moron. He just didn't know what to do with him anymore.
Yeah.
I loved it. There was just, except for them losing all the money and Mark Hamill not having a long enough spot. Pretty much, it's my favorite episode this season.
Well, I have to agree with you there.
Same here. I think we're all on the same page.
All right, then. People out Twitter seem to be enjoying it too. So, hopefully, the fans won't be disappointed this season. I think it got off to a tremendous start. I think they set up exactly. I really, really loved how they set Chuck up. Showing him go through those moments of missing the intersect like he did. And I mean, I guess, of course, that's natural. That was bound to happen. He'd lived with it for so long. And now he's, passing on to someone else, and he kind of really feels inadequate. But really, by the end of the episode, I think he was even showing himself that he can do. He's a man with a plan. And that's what you always like about Chuck. With the intersect, without the intersect, he was always a man with a plan. And he always worked it out. So, and you're always surprised when he has a plan. You just never know exactly what he's done until it's all done. And then you're like, whoa. So I like being woed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that final action sequence there when he's running, when he had the Post-it notes up and then he's running and they had the song going and it's like, go Chuck.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious when he first turned on the laptop. He's like, don't leave me behind.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot to accomplish in this episode, and I think they did. I mean, they had to set up how was Chuck going to feel about this? How are Chuck and Sarah in their marriedness? What they're going to do with this fortune? How was Morgan going to be at the intersect? And if there was one weak part in the episode, I think I expected a little more with the Buy More storyline. I thought, but it accomplished what it needed to, which was just establishing that the Buy More's still there, the guys are still there, and we need it as much as ever. And
there's still Jeff and Lester.
Yeah, there's still Jeff and Lester. So I think I expected a bit more of a gag out of it, but hey, there was a lot to do.
Didn't get you? Cracked me up.
But there was a lot to do in this episode, and so if they were going to drop anything, that's the thing that could be a little less.
I started giggling as soon as Jeff came out in a wheelchair, all praise and everything. I just knew it was going to be, oh my God, what did they do now? I just started laughing. I think I laughed through the whole thing. So I'm just going to go and watch the episode again because I missed a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and then Chuck saying, we'll just have to, we'll have to stay here and we'll have to take him out, or we can wait until the moron stands up on his own and blows the whole thing.
Now, you have to answer me something. The client, Was that Dr. Phlox?
It was Craig Kilborn. Oh, that client. Yes, that was Ethan Phillips. It was Neelix.
Neelix.
Yeah, not Dr. Phlox. Sorry, no. It was
Not okay.
No,
Okay, I knew him from that world.
No, you get John Billingsley, which is what I thought first too, because he's married to Benita Friederici, who plays General Beckman. But no, that was Ethan Phillips, who was Neelix on Voyager, with director of this episode and executive producer Robert Duncan McNeil.
Right. Okay. I knew it. Like, it just brought me back to the Star Trek world, and I know I've seen John Billingsley on other stuff. So, but I just saw his face, and it just they look a lot alike.
I know. I accidentally told VDAC, I was like, oh, I'm gonna totally take that as like a wink, wink, nod, nod, because Beckman's on this episode, and he's like, okay. And then later on, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not what that was.
Yeah.
That's not John Billingsley. That's Ethan Phillips.
Yeah. Who was fun. He was a great little character in the show. Didn't have much to do, but
it was just a fun little cameo. I thought it was cool because once I got remembered who it was for real, I thought it was kind of cool that they did that on Robbie's episode. They have, his old friend came on, so
yeah. And the health club sequence I thought was pretty fun.
The little secret handshake thingy that Chuck and Sarah did, that's my favorite moment of the entire episode. I think it's
I think I missed that.
You have to go back and watch. Oh, it was right after they got invited to the guy's party, to Space's party. I don't know, Blaine or Blake or whatever. And when he walks out the door, the camera goes back to them, and they do this little finger wiggle thingy. And just what I loved about it so much was how it shows how far Sarah's come since the first episode. She and Morgan are buddies. I mean, you also get that when she was watching him play squash, and then when they were dancing too. And you could see that she's just really grown to appreciate him more. She still realizes he's a big dork, but she has grown to appreciate him more. And not just as Chuck's friend, but I think they also, have developed a friendship. And, and then there's just this sense of playfulness in that action that I just loved it. I was like, oh, Sarah, she's a real girl.
Yeah, that was cool. And I have to confess, I thought at the end that Sarah was gonna bring out some con man dough to pay for the house.
No, they spent it all on the wedding.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, that's where they spent the con man dough. So, so they set up about this house with the red door, and then they can't have it now. That's kind of sad.
I know.
Yeah, I know. After he finds that house, it was a pretty house too.
And it was so sweet that that's what she wanted. She doesn't want a giant mansion with 2 bowling alleys by the beach. She wants a little house, a cozy, homey place with a red door and a picket fence.
Yeah. So, but I guess we really needed that to set up how bad Decker is and how he's so evil he would take away our house.
Now, how do you guys feel about the fact that we still don't know what it is, what his motivation is, what he's up to?
Yeah, that was weird. That whole scene where he had a group of guys together and was giving them instructions.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, what it is we missed it. Like when they cut to that scene, he says, "So that's the plan." And you're like, "What? No, rewind, go back."
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle, and I hope it's not too much of a spoiler to say that we don't find out for a while. This is an ongoing thing. It's going to go throughout the season. We get little bits and pieces, but the full blown plan, I think it's kind of like maybe a little mystery story for the fans to try to put it together and figure it out. Yeah, exactly. That's what I like.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. But he scares me. That fear of the unknown. This guy is vindictive and just black heart.
Yeah. Yep. So Mel, you've seen the next 2. Obviously we won't say anything detail wise, but cool stuff coming.
Very, very. Carrie-Anne Moss, like I said, fantastic, amazing. Love her. Wish she'd come on sooner. And her chemistry with Adam Baldwin. Yeah, it's about time. Just all the way around. I mean, there's so much more to it than potential love interest. There's way more to it than that. And the two of them, yeah, that's some genius casting right there. And, well, you know what? Next week's episode, just watch in the background, there's Halloween decorations all over the place. And that just irks me that bumped it a week.
Yeah.
You know, they knew back in July or August that this was going to air supposedly on the 28th, that episode should air on the 28th. And so they planned for that. It's not overt, but it's there. It's in the background. And I don't know. It bugs me that their careful plan didn't work.
Yeah. Oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. But no.
But at least Chuck is back.
And there's good stuff coming up.
Yeah.
I think
very
cool.
cool.
Is actually my favorite episode of the season so far.
Really? Cool. Well, I like that when episode 1 is our favorite of the season, and then episode 2 is our favorite of the season, and episode 3 is the favorite of the season, and then up to 13. I can't believe there's only 12 left.
I know! Don't say it, Gray.
Oh, boy.
So in our last podcast for episode 13, the waterproof mascara, Liz, and box of tissues. And but we don't have to think about that yet.
No, we don't. And I think at some point we'll have a special podcast.
They're all special, Gray.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know, maybe after 13, something that I was thinking about is it'd be nice to sort of have some of the cast back and say goodbye or something like that. Anyway, we'll think of that, and we'll think of special stuff we can do for the end, because boy, 5 seasons.
I know, we've got to do a retrospective at the very least.
Yeah. So. Which actually there have been a few online. I noticed one. Oh boy, it was something like the 25 best moments from season.
Did that.
Yeah, which I thought they did a great job actually in picking some really pivotal moments.
Well, they pulled fans on Twitter, so it's not just Rick, but you know he knows a lot about Chuck and he's a fan, so I'm sure some of that came from him. But yeah, those were a lot of the fan favorites, and yep. But the episode tonight. We didn't actually talk about Ellie being there.
Yeah.
And
right. Well, yeah. Liz had talked a little bit about that scene. I think where Chuck was wrestling with not having the intersect,
and he can't get it back. And and they're establishing that Ellie is a part of the intersect project. She tried to get it to work, and she couldn't. And she says, this. But I thought it was interesting that she says this version of the intersect only had one upload. Which leaves the door open for another one. So
they have to do that. I mean, if this whole Morgan intersect thing had gone very south, they got to leave themselves open for the option to do that. I personally don't think they will. I think this episode showed that they can still have a great show without it. But we'll see.
Yes, we will.
Who knows? Well, I guess that's about all to say about Chuck versus the Zoom.
I don't know. There's more.
Seems like there seems like there should be more, right?
Yeah. Well, a part of it is that we are recording so soon after the episode. Usually, I have a chance to watch it a second time before we tape our podcast. So, I know I'm probably not as perceptive about the episode. It hasn't really even sunk in yet. Like literally, I just watched it and now we're recording. So anyway, I'm sure we'll get lots of emails and tweets. You didn't point out
but what about
this.
And this and that. And what about?
Yeah.
But see, it just shows you guys are watching.
That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, we love to hear from you.
Yeah.
We're not just here with our glowing eyes.
Oh, and don't forget, send in your comments for the podcast. I guess getting them in right after the episode, you'd have to be really, really fast because we are recording right after the episode airs on Friday night. But send them in advance of the episode on Friday. We'd love to have your comments in the podcast. mail@chuckpodcast.com. But for right now, we're going to go to our sponsors who we're very grateful for.
So many faults, so many blames, I can't wait to erase.
And this one isn't a sponsorship, but it is a personal favor I'd love to ask you, and that's that my son is entered into a music video competition at whiskeyrocks.com. You can go to the music video competition and look for Terrence Babbage on the second page. I actually shot and edited the music video there, and if he wins, it would mean a huge leg up for his career. It's daily voting until November 2nd, and that's it. So if you could please go there daily, whiskeyrocks.com, and vote for Terrence Babbage, it would be a great favor to me. Turn your Mac into the coolest television and DVR in the house with award-winning iTV from Elgato. Whether you get your TV signal from an antenna or from a digital box, there's an iTV tuner to suit your needs. Watch live TV on your Mac, record a TV show or series, and enjoy the episodes you've recorded later on your Mac, iPad, or iPhone. You can even stream live TV straight to your iPad with the optional iTV app. You can find all this at www.elgato.com.
Hello, this is Christina Caramel from Serienjunkies TV. Are you addicted to TV shows? Be our guests and learn the latest news and reflections on what's going on in the world of TV series. Well, our show is in German, but maybe you want to drop in anyway? Then visit www.serienjunkies.de and watch out for our video podcast. See you.
And we're back. And so, as I mentioned, mail at chuckpodcast.com. Send in your questions and comments. Right now, we're going to go to spoilers. And you know the drill. If you're just coming on to the podcast now, the drill is pull out your headphones or turn off the podcast if you don't like spoilers. But otherwise, we're going to roll right through. Enjoy.
All right. Well, first up, I tried to keep any illusions of this out of my advanced review, but Zach kind of spilled the beans in a recent interview, so I guess it's fair game. The latest Chuck tease from TV Guide is from their spoilers from last week. So Bart says, "How does Morgan handle being intersect on Chuck?" And Natalie Abrams at TV Guide responded. She said, "As we revealed last week, being the intersect will go to Morgan's head. But what the team should be worried about is what it's actually doing to his head. And this doesn't seem like something the governor will be able to fix." And yeah, kind of saw a little bit of that in the preview that they showed after Zoom. That actually goes out to, I think, like episode 7. There's little scenes all the way out to 7, I think. But yeah, there's a little bit of a clue there about what's going on with Morgan and the intersect. So, you know, the people that were upset when Morgan downloaded it and we saw him with it for 10 seconds and they said, "That's not right. Chuck's the only one that can have the intersect, blah, blah, blah." Well, pat yourselves on the back. Are correct. Chuck is special.
Interesting. Cool. Well, so lots of cool places it can go.
Yep. All right. Well, next week's episode is titled Chuck versus the Bearded Bandit. This is where Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix will guest star. She's going to be Gertrude. Oh, yeah, I'm going to try and get this name out now. Gertrude Verbansky. I remember making fun of this at Comic-Con. I really didn't think he'd keep it in.
He loves that name.
I just really didn't think he'd stick with it, and he did. Jeff Fahey and Justin Hartley also guest star. Yay, Justin Hartley!
Wow.
I'm so excited. As the team takes on a missing persons case, Chuck and company struggle to establish themselves as Carmichael Industries in the face of a rival security firm led by the tough and efficient Gertrude Verbansky. Meanwhile, Morgan continues to adjust to the intersect while Chuck adjusts to being his handler. And also, the Buy More finds an unlikely spokesperson to help drum up business.
It's going to be fun. And, you know, I don't mind at all having Chuck on Friday night. Of course, I'm married and probably have less of a social life than a lot of you young folk out there, but it's a great social activity on Friday.
Yes. I'm just glad it's back, that's all. I don't care what night it's on.
Cool. And, you know, I actually enjoyed Grimm, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think Liz, you said you liked Once Upon a Time. I wasn't impressed with that one. I know people said that there was going to be a bit of a competition between these two. For me, I like Grimm better, but that's just me.
They're very different shows. Grimm's more of a police procedural with the fairy tale world kind of superimposed on it, whereas Once Upon a Time is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, it's fairy tales translated to modern day world, parallel universes, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I liked Grimm too, but I'm in love with Once Upon a Time.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yes. I like them both. I've seen both pilots like numerous times.
Oh yeah?
And I actually have been doing, Grimm has inspired me to do some studying on the Brothers Grimm and all the 211 fairy tales that they actually, yes. So there's a lot of material to pull from, and it's very interesting how they're mingling all of this in with today's world and everything. And of course, Silas Mitchell is hilarious. Yeah. He's already my favorite character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's the wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Monroe.
Yeah.
Liz, did you watch episode 3 of Once Upon a Time yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
That's really good, Gray.
Mm-hmm.
Hang in there.
Okay, I will.
The pilot episode is really heavy on exposition because they had so much. I mean, it's a massive concept that they were trying to explain.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is more about the evil witch and her motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet Maleficent, who's played by Kristen Bauer, a favorite of ours from True Blood.
Mm-hmm.
But then episode 3 is more about Snow White and her Prince Charming, and you even actually find out his real name.
Oh,
well, I will give it a try. I love fairy tales, and so I think if they can get it moving, I could see it.
Yeah, it starts moving pretty quickly, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll be back next week, and make sure you watch Chuck on Friday night. And thanks for joining us again. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Chuckers.
Bye-bye.